Live.
We're live. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. It's been a good week, right? Every week's a good week. We got to make the best of it. I want to announce our Yeti Raffle is ending today. We're going to go live around 2 p.m. and announce the winner, which is going to be super exciting, super fun, and we're happy to give fun stuff like this away. You guys are awesome. You deserve it. The sweet cooler, of course, we've got our logo on it, and it's going to go out to somebody for free today. All you have to do is go to the specials page, click on the Yeti Raffle, and the raffle tickets are $10. You get that money back in GetBit credit, so you can use it to buy whatever you want. So it's basically a free raffle, right? So you can buy as many raffle tickets as you want. You can tell your friends, whoever. Father's Day's coming up. It'd be a cool gift to give someone for Father's Day. Win that and give it to them. But either way, something fun we're doing here. Trying to do it often, right? Some fun giveaways, give you guys a chance to win some cool stuff, basically for free, right? Because if you're spending money here at GetBit anyway, you might as well buy a raffle ticket and get your money back and get GetBit credit. Just something fun we're doing. Also want to share with you Torzite guides, okay? We talk a lot about Fuji and the quality and whatnot, but I really want you to know that Torzite guides, I want to explain to you why they are so good, and why it's hard to argue that they're not the best in the industry, and why the price is what it is, and where that price can equate to value for you as far as performance on the water. Okay, there's a couple things that come into play, mainly ring material and frame material, and obviously shape and style and whatnot. But as far as truly the main difference is from one manufacturer to the next, or even within Fuji, right? If you went from Fuji stainless to Fuji Torzite, or Fuji stainless to Fuji titanium with a Torzite ring, right? You can get all kinds of different configurations in there. This is an SIC Torzite. I'm sorry, take that back. A titanium Torzite. Okay, so the frame is made of titanium, which is super light, and it is the most corrosion resistant material that I know of when it comes to guides. So you have less fuss and headache there as far as corrosion resistance and control. And then your ring is harder and smoother and thinner than most, if not all, other rings out there, which means that your line is going to fly through these guides faster because there's less friction. And because there's less friction, there's less heat, and it's just super smooth flying out of there. I've done some videos at ICAST a couple years in a row. This year it's canceled, so I won't be able to show it to you again live, but maybe we'll find those videos and repost them, where Fuji has all kinds of demos that you can pull up and do, walk up and do yourself, and we videoed it. I take line off a spool, right, just random line off a spool, take off equal parts of the same line, tie it to a weight, run it through the guides, and go back and forth, right, just a few times to simulate your line going in and out of your rod, and then go slack on the line and look at your line afterwards to see what happened. Well, in their, I think it was SIC ring, they're staying within their own brand, which is very respectable on Fuji. Their SIC ring, you would see some coils on that line because there's friction there, and it's actually wearing on the line a little bit. Even though SIC is one of the best rings in the industry, probably the second best. In their Torzite ring, the line that went through that ring shows you that it's no, bunk. It's real. There's less friction on a Torzite ring. You can also, they have a slope, right, where the line is at an angle. You've got two lines side by side at the same angle, same line. Take a set of guides, right, a set of Torzites, slide it down it. Take a set of SICs, slide it down at the same time. You literally, they have a special little plate, right? Pull the plate up and it affects both sides the same, on the same plane. Lift them up. The Torzite rings slide down, I don't know quantifiably how fast, but they win the race by far every time because they slide down the line much faster, much quicker. It's the same way as your line going through your rod, right? Less friction, they're faster. Now, how does that equate to performance on the water? I can tell you personally, I have rods that I've built with Torzite that are casting way further than any other rods that I have in my arsenal, guys. And I have over 100 rods in my arsenal now. Do I fish them all? No. A lot of them are personal rods that are, kind of family heirlooms to me. Rods that I built for my grandpa before he passed, or rods that, just mean a lot to me. But I have a lot of customs as well. And I, being in the business, I can't just let this stuff sit. I got to fish it, test it, and talk from experience. So I've built with Torzite. I've built with most materials out there. And I promise you, Torzite will cast farther than a comparative guide. It just does. So how much difference does it make to you? I don't know. But if you say you're making a 50-foot cast, right? And a Torzite rod gives you a 70-foot cast, right? Now you're talking, what, 30% further? 20%, whatever the math is, per cast. So that's that many less casts you have to make to cover the same amount of water. And you're covering more water with fewer casts. So you're spending more time with your bait in that strike zone. You're reaching fish that you weren't reaching before. You're getting the fish that might have been spooked that you wouldn't have reached before because the boat's not getting as close to them because you're casting farther. It just works. Now, how does that affect, your pocketbook? It's up to you. But to me, if you're taking the time to build a custom rod, take the time, save a few, a little bit more money, and buy the best if you can. Now, every application doesn't apply. If you're not casting far, it doesn't matter to you. Maybe Torzite's not, the best for every build, and it's not. But there are applications where if you want to cast the furthest and have the best of the best, Torzite is just so sweet. And everyone's got to have those few cherry builds, in their arsenal where you can just say, yeah, that's my baby. So, not pushing anything. Just want you to know they are the real deal. Available in single foots, double foots, belly guides, running guides, micro guides. Fuji has really done an amazing job with these Fuji Torzites. So, any questions on those, guys, feel free to chime in. I'm also going to show you here, we were doing a wind wrap this week on a gaff. So I went ahead and just did the quick whip on these. I am going to probably take this home this weekend and actually take this whip, these solid green whips off and wrap over it with thread and epoxy it. But I went ahead and put the wind, the little sticky whips they include with their packaging on this to hold the grip in place, right? Heat, humidity, whatever, the grip can unravel if you don't actually put something on it to hold it, right? So whether it's the wind wrap, they give you the wind whip, heat shrink, some kind of epoxy or thread, you want to make sure you tie off these ends. Which I'll probably go live this weekend, especially if it's rainy. But we also had, while doing that, we had a couple people comment they want us to mock up some neon green wind rips with our Reaper seat. So we'll go ahead and do that here real quick. And anytime you guys have stuff you want to see, even if it's as simple as just showing you, hey, what does this grip look like? Ask us. I get it. Ordering stuff online isn't always easy. You can't always tell exactly what stuff's going to look like. And we're happy to bring it to you live. That's why we do this every day. So I know this is earlier than usual today, but I kind of want to change up the time frame. The nice thing is, no matter what time we go live, you can always go back and watch it, and you can make comments, and we'll get those comments, and we'll answer them. And if it's something you want to see later, then we'll post up live in the next feed. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky because this might work. This is a small enough blank, maybe. Can I get it on there? Yeah, check that out. All right, so we'll do that. Somebody wanted to see this mocked up. We'll go ahead and do the best we can, at least give you an idea. Okay. So there's black blank and the neon green wind grips with a Reaper seat. Now, obviously, you'd ream this to make this shorter if you wanted to. Likely you would. And then these tenons here are left on there for a couple of reasons from the factory. One, you may make this your butt if you wanted to. You can put this down here and put a butt cap on it. You can also take this, cut it off, right? It's very easy to do with a razor blade. Take your razor blade, insert it once, rotate your blank or grip and cut through. Don't saw with a razor blade, that gives you jagged edges. Stick it in once, rotate your grip, cut your tenon off, and that'll sit on nice and tight. You don't have to cut all the way off on a casting seat. Just cast a little bit, or cut it a little bit. That'll sit down flush. Same thing with this top one. Cut that tenon off if you wanted to. Or if it's a spinning seat, these often fit perfectly inside a spinning reel seat. Same with this one. You can do a lot. It's better to have that tenon on there and cut it to the length that you want than not have it at all. So wind left it on there for you. Sharp looking grip. Guys, you could put that on a rod, no fancy wraps, and it look gorgeous, right? So you don't have to be a fancy thread weaver. to make your rods really pop. I'm in that same boat. Don't have the time. I'm not that skilled to do fancy wraps. Just having, it's not really my thing. I'd rather build a rod. Simple, clean, sharp. That's gonna be a fishing tool, fishing machine. But I can totally appreciate and beyond and blown away with what you guys do with thread. So you guys are amazing. But for those of us who aren't that skilled and just want to build a fishing rod, that's okay. Build them quick, clean, and simple, and get out there on the water. All right, so they also asked to see this same setup on a white blank. Let's do that real quick. So this here is one of our Get Bit EVA kits, split grip kits. These things are awesome. As is right here with the guides and tip top. They're like in the 30s for a complete kit. Smoking deal. Let me see if I can get this fighting butt off and maybe put this other one on. What do you know? Alright, let's do this. Alright, so we're going to put that on last. It's going to fall off. Guys, these grips come in different lengths too. So there's shorter wind grips, longer ones. There's the smaller fighting butts. There's the ones with caps, without caps. There you go. So that's what that grip's gonna look like on white. Put this fighting butt here. Obviously, if I put it down here, it's gonna look awkward, right? So put that here, depending on whatever length rear grip you want. This is a question we get a lot, and I understand it because I used to be confused by it too. How big should this gap be in here? You got to think about it differently. This gap is simply a result of how long you want your rear grip to be. The butt of your rod from the bottom of your reel seat to the end of the rod. That's going to affect the function of the rod. I don't build for aesthetics first. You can if you want. In that case, you can make this as long as you want. You can put whatever you want in here if you wanted to. But ultimately, if you're fishing for performance or building for performance, adjust this length from the end of the reel seat to the end of the rod to the length that you want. So if this is a 9-inch distance here, you just adjust the grips and your spacing here is simply a result.
Mark Holman on YouTube asks, what length rod is best for casting and how many colors do we offer?
Okay, Mark, good question. So it's up to interpretation, right? When you say casting, depends on what you're casting and your personal preference as well. I would say by far the most popular length is a 7-foot spinning rod or bait casting rod, but that doesn't mean it's the best for you. You may like a 7.5, or you may like a 6-foot or a 6.6, but most people find that 7-foot is the best all-around length. But again, it's up to you and your personal preference. And as far as what colors are available, if you're talking about the wind grips, if you go underneath components, then go to grips and go to wind, you'll see all the colors available. There are, I don't even know how many, a bunch of wind grips available. And then same with the Reaper reel seats. Go under components, go to reel seats, and then go to Get Bit reel seats. There's probably a dozen colors in there on the reel seats, this exact reel seat. And as far as blanks go and colors, there's pink, there's blue, there's black, we have slate, and then we have all of our camos, and then there's also the option to custom paint any blank, any color. That's not something that we push a lot because it takes a little bit of time on our end, but ultimately we're here to help. So if you guys want a certain blank, a certain color, you have that option too, no doubt.
Jeff Perry on YouTube asks, can you paint a winding check?
Good question, Jeff. Yes, I would say yes. You can really paint anything. You have to use the proper paint. And what that proper paint would be, I'm not a paint guy, but I would suggest an automotive paint and then clear it so that it kind of locks that paint on there and you can't chip it or crack it. But and then also depend on what material of winding check you use. I probably wouldn't paint a rubber winding check because it's probably going to flex at some point and your paint might start to flake. But if you wanted to paint a metal winding check or a hard winding check of some kind, maybe even a rubber one, yeah, absolutely. I would always suggest testing it first though. Paint your winding check, whatever you want to do. Get an extra one, keep it on the side, let it dry, make sure you like the way it holds up, you know, try to ding it a little bit. Because the last thing you want to do is put something on a custom rod, have it epoxy in place, and then realize it's not going to do what you want. So mock it up. Same thing with your blanks too, guys. Point in case, when you get a blank from any manufacturer, part of mocking up a build is testing your build, right? Testing your materials, making sure that it didn't get damaged in shipping or there wasn't a manufacturer's flaw somehow, some way. Test it before you build it, okay? Stress that rod. Don't high stick it and do something silly that's gonna break it, but test it so that you feel comfortable that it's gonna meet those same expectations you have on the water. If a rod's gonna break from manufacturer's defect, it's gonna break and the first flex, second flex, whatever, from the same direction. Flex it, flex it, flex it, flex it across different ways on the spine. And if it had a defect, it would have broke. It's not going to break a year from now because of a failure in the manufacturer or a failure in the materials. It's going to break a year from now if something happened to it. So have that peace of mind before you build it that you've tested it and you know it's going to be good. Same thing with marbling, right? You want to test some marbling, you want to get detailed and have some fun with marbling. Take a scrap piece of blank, take a wooden dowel. We have blanks here that we can send to you with your blank order for free. Occasionally we get a box of 100 blanks and it may get crushed from UPS. And we keep those scraps here so that we can send them to you if you want a test blank, something to play around on and learn on. We can't ship those for free, but we can include those for free with a blank order, if that makes sense. Because we don't want to pay shipping on a free blank that we're sending you. We can include them for free with a blank order.
Matthew Gross asks, what reel seat is that?
So Matt, this is a Get Bit Reaper seat, the neon green. You go under components and go to grips. Then go to reel seat. Or sorry, man, I'm all over the place. Go to components, then go to reel seats, then go to Get Bit, and you'll see these Reaper seats there. Okay. The grips are underneath components, grips, and then wing. More questions on these? No?
No.
Cool. Super easy, super fun, and we've been selling wind grips for years now, and they've been on golf clubs for years. Different application, but still getting some stress. Guys, I've heard of some knockoffs having issues with colors fading and whatnot, getting worn down. I'm yet to hear of a true wind issue. It's a great company, great product, quality stuff. It's sharp. They're super light. They feel good.
Jeff Perry on YouTube asks, when you paint a rod, do you clear coat it with anything or epoxy?
So you can clear coat it with a couple different things. Again, I'm not a painter per se, but I know some people will hit it with like a 2K clear. They make some of those pop cans from, you can get it at Ace or AutoZone, etc., your auto supply store. That is literally a true 2K clear that you can spray on, but be careful because that stuff is not good for your lungs. If you're going to use that stuff, put on a mask, go outside, and do it the right way. If you can smell it, forget who I saw posted, Adam. Adam's a good painter, Adam Lathrop and Dawn. They posted, if you can smell it, it's in your lungs, right? And I love that Adam said that because you can't be careful enough. Get outside, use a ventilator if you need to, use a good mask, and don't breathe that stuff in. Now, if you want to use something a little bit more mainstream, you can get something like Lumiseal, Chromaseal, and wipe the clear on there. It's probably safer than popping a can unless you're used to doing it and have the proper ventilation equipment. But you can do epoxy as well. I don't suggest doing an epoxy unless you're doing it on a heavier build and you're okay adding weight to it. I used to add epoxy to some bottom rods I used to build for a big party boat out of the Cape, and they wanted all their rods coated in epoxy for extra durability, so they didn't bang up on the boat. They would put epoxy on all their rods, and that's fine. But they were heavy bottom rods, so again, depending upon the application, there's different clear coats you can do. I hope I didn't confuse you there.
John Bonaire asks, what's a good bass rod blank?
So good bass rod blank really depends on what you're doing with the rod, but a good all-around bass rod, let's say for bait casting, a ton of options, but the first one that comes to my mind would be a Liberty MB 703. That's a 7-foot medium heavy power, kind of an all-purpose, moderate fast action, might be even just a fast action. American-made blank, made here in the USA. If you're looking at a 7-foot all-purpose spinning rod, maybe like an MB 703 or an MB 702. If you like to have that mag taper, or you can go with a little bit softer tip like an SB, spin bass, or a popping, like a P704, P703. Those are very popular 7-foot bass rods. There's great range shadow models as well.
John Gonzalez on YouTube asks, can you explain the difference in the different models of Fuji guides?
Okay, yeah, I can give you a quick rundown there, John. Good question. So, Fuji guides are available in different rings and a few different frames as far as materials go. But let's talk ring material first. Ring material, the difference is going to be in hardness and smoothness levels, and they have different scales, like a Vickers scale, that is actually measurable to tell you how hard a ring is. So as you go up in quality, the harder the ring, the smoother the ring, the less friction, the better line control you have. Okay, so starting at the bottom, they used to have hard alloy and aluminum oxide. Hard alloy has now gone away, and they have an O-ring now that is a hard aluminum oxide, one of higher quality. It's still braid safe. Any Fuji ring is going to be braid safe that I know of. And if Aaron or Donnie or any of the guys are watching, correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, all their rings are braid safe. None of their stuff is junk. None of the stuff we sell, all the rings that we sell, all the guides that we sell are all braid safe. So we'll start there. Aluminum oxide, very affordable. It's actually a very quality ring. It's probably the highest seller that Fuji has, period, across OEMs and maybe even custom builders too, because the price point is there and the quality is there. So you can rest assured you're not going to have any issue with it. Aluminum oxide, then alkanite. Alkanite's going to be harder, smoother. And then it's going to be either SiC, silicon carbide, harder and smoother. Then Torzite, even harder and even smoother. And you have a few like silicon nitride worked in there. And they may have another one or two as well that are kind of like special application stuff for like wireline guides and kind of odds and ends, that more specialty type rings. I hope that makes sense. But all Fujis are made with stainless, aside from their titanium, as far as the frames go. Any other questions? This is good, guys. I'm happy you're asking questions. That's what it's all about. It's a blessing to be able to answer them for you and bring it to you live.
John Gonzalez asks, how about the difference in frames and how to compare them in applications?
So the difference in frames is going to be really based on application, right? So a single foot spinning guide would be more for spinning. And if you step down, let's say you start out with a single foot spinning guide, and then you go to a single foot belly guide, and then a single foot fly guide to taper out and bring your line down quickly and sharply. We're working on some new Fuji guide kits. Hope to have those next week. When those come out, I'm going to go live explaining that and show you step by step each different frame and why you can benefit from using different frames within one guide train on one rod. You don't have to necessarily stick to one guide frame and run it for your whole application. We'll often use 2 and 3 different guide frames to optimize a build. One to control the line up front at the spool, one to taper it down, and then one to shoot it out. And different frames apply differently depending upon what that guide's purpose is.
Mark Coleman asks, are all your guides suitable for saltwater or some better than others?
Yes, they are all suitable for saltwater. Some are better than others. So if you take a titanium guide, for instance, just the nature of titanium is much better as far as being corrosion resistant. And there's also the CC guides, so corrosion control from Fuji, right? BCC, which is a darker corrosion control, or just the CC in general, or the GM. There's different colors within that corrosion control that you can use, but corrosion control will be my next go-to if that is your priority. And then you can also just look at the regular guides because they're all built with stainless and they're all going to do well. No matter what guide you go with, I always suggest rinsing your rods. do a good job taking care of your stuff. It doesn't mean blasting them with the hose and going crazy. Just give them a light mist. You know, make sure there's water dripping off of the guides, and that's going to wash your salts away for the most part. And do a good job when you wrap them and when you epoxy them. You know, not just wrapping well, but epoxying well, so that you have a good coat of epoxy, especially behind that guide foot. You know, where your guide foot goes up to the ring, get behind it and make sure you have epoxy fill in those holes and those voids so that salt water can't get in there. That doesn't mean put a ton of epoxy. If you put too much epoxy, it gives it some leverage to crack, and now you can have a void and salt water gets in there. So just know that a light coat that seals it, it's done. You add more and you can have more issues.
Timothy Wayne Clark on Facebook asks, what is the largest ID carbon fiber grip?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's 350. I can double check on that, but they can all be reamed. And they ream very quickly. So ID as is, I want to say 350, maybe 300, but you can always ream them. They're meant to be reamed. You're going to have to ream them. You know, absolutely. But they ream very easily. We have our Reamer kits. I'm glad you mentioned that. We have our Reamer kits in stock. We have a bunch of them, but they never last because everyone needs Reamers. And if you don't have a set, you should get a set. Maybe get a second set. It's just good to have on hand. And we have them at a great price. I think we sell them for like $54 or 40 something bucks. It's just an awesome deal. For 4 Reamers, you're paying like 13 bucks, 15 bucks maybe a Reamer. Not even 15, like 14 bucks a Reamer. And you just have everything you need right there in a complete set from Batson.
John Gonzalez asks, what are your thoughts on using color preservers on your wraps?
Fair question. Personally, I don't use a lot of color preserver. I keep my rods simple and my build simple. I use thread that's already treated. I use the Fuji poly. That's the NPD, NPA, and the metallics. I use some that are untreated, and I just leave them untreated if I want them to purposely change, get a little bit more darker and opaque to get a look that I'm going for. But you know, as far as using color preserver, I know plenty of people who use it and have no issues. And then of course you have people who post up and say don't use it because it prevents your epoxy from locking properly and you're going to have an issue. I haven't had that issue because I don't use color preserver, and I haven't heard of anybody who's had that issue personally. Could it happen? I don't know, I guess. I'm not knocking anybody who's said that or felt that or experienced it. I just haven't personally. So from my experience, I don't think it's an issue one way or the other. I know a lot of people use it, especially on deck wraps, to make sure their wraps look sharp and clean. Some guys use it on deck wraps and then not on guide wraps. Again, I kind of keep it simple, avoid that headache, and just use thread that's already treated.
Ed Scola asks, how hard is it to build a rod?
Very easy. We're going to get to where we do an easy, like a 5-minute rod build, you know, and just show you step by step in 5 minutes how to build a rod. It is a piece of cake. I promise you that. I'm not selling you anything. If you go back and look through some of our old Facebook Lives, and I say old, I'm talking like a month maybe. We did some rod builds with my kids. My oldest is 6. My youngest is 3. They all got involved with the build with me. All that to say, it's that easy. If you go to our Rod Building Made Easy tab up top, click in the video vault, you can watch step by step in these short, like 1 to 3 minute videos, how to build a rod, and you'll see it's really very easy. And no?
That's it.
I think that's all I had for the live session. We went over some wing grips, we went over Torzites to a degree. Keep an eye out, guys. Every day we're going to go live during the week, right? So there's always going to be something new. We're going to try to get away from just saying, hey, how are you? It's a question and answer. Those are going to happen too. We're trying to start bringing you more content. If you have ideas, products you want us to see, go over, explain, maybe some techniques, we're going to get back to where we have a rod wrapper in this room and we can start doing some more demos. So it's always good, you know, like it, subscribe, make sure your notification bell is on for YouTube. I don't know if there's a notification bell on Facebook. There might be. But definitely subscribe to both and like both. That way, if you don't catch it on one, you might get notified on the other. Because it's always good when you're live, right? It's okay to watch it afterwards, get the benefit of the video, but we can answer your questions live and show you stuff. So please tell your friends. That's the biggest compliment we can ask for. Go to our review page, drop us a review, and make sure you go to our specials page, check out the Yeti Raffle. For 10 bucks that you get back and get big credit, you can win this awesome cooler. We're giving it away today at 2. All right? We good? All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back live around 2 o'clock. If you haven't got your raffle ticket, go get it, and we'll see you then. God bless. Talk soon.